probably, because I'm trying to like put my phone up in the little spaces above the dash. For those of you who drive Freightliners and know what I'm talking about, I'm just like, let me just get my phone in there to video. Anyway, I'm in Oklahoma, and I just want to take a minute to send a video. It's a kumbaya moment, I guess. I don't know why I'm thinking about it like that, but one of the things I love about doing this job and traveling around the country is being in places that I don't often go, that people who look like me don't go that often, and seeing reactions from people. And it drives the point home, and I can't emphasize this enough, that we need to see each other in person in order to really feel each other. I really just always feel this sort of lament about the fact that we have this sort of distant, like physically distant, but like in our minds it's this close hatred for people who we perceive as different from us, because we have these really cynical, shitty, ugly media outlets, media empires really, that are making so much money off of this fabricated enemy, okay? And it's like telling us to hate this other person and hate this entire group of people because they hate you, is what the underlying subtext is. Or that was redundant, but the subtext is that you should hate these people because they hate you. And it's like, no, they don't. You don't even know them, and they don't know you, and there's no real basis for a lot of this animosity. I don't know, man. I'm in this, I just stopped in this little mom and pop truck stop, and I'm not trying to rhyme, I'm not trying to write a bad rap. I'm in Oklahoma, and I walked in just to use the restroom, and I didn't realize it was more like a family restaurant. So I always feel rude, like going in a setting like that and just using the bathroom and skedaddling. I'm like, sorry, but I gotta go, you know. There's a Love's right down the road, but I'm sick of Love's. I'm sick of all the big commercial truck stops that are always crowded, and it takes longer to get in and out, which is funny because I'm actually like burning time right now by sitting here talking. But I just want to say, like, I walked in, you know, and there's like an older couple sitting at one of the tables, and then there's like one other table, and there's a woman who's the server, and I get looks from people, and a lot of times, especially men, older conservative men in these environments, who see a woman with tattoos and my hairstyle, and they have probably a variety of thoughts in their mind, some of which might be vaguely accurate but probably not. And like, I always think they don't know my heart. They don't know that I'm a person who thinks of them with compassion automatically, or tries to. They don't know that I'm a person who has spent a lot of time processing pain and working through hardship and caring for people I don't know, working at that really hard. And that has been how I've worked through my own pain and like negative feelings toward myself. I just think it's interesting. And like yesterday, I was in a Walmart in Oklahoma, another part of Oklahoma, and not too far from here, a couple hours away. And there was a family of women. It was the mom and daughters, and I think like 3 little girls. And they were part of some very conservative religious organization. They were women that had like a little black cap on the back of their heads that their hair was pulled up into, that was pinned up, you know, and they had long dresses on and everything. And you see people from religious groups like that when you're out in the country more often. And the younger girls could not stop staring at me, and I kind of inwardly love that because I want them to see someone. I think it's good for them to see someone that's so radical to their eyes and who is still pleasant toward them. Like, I was just polite and kind of kept a respectful space, and you know, I had to get around them to get what I was trying to get in at the store. And I remember what it was like to be a little girl and involved in a very conservative outsider type religious organization where women were not allowed to look like this. And I never could have imagined that I would look like this. And now I love it because it's like, hello, this is who I am. Love it or leave it, man. And some people feel threatened when they see a woman who presents this way with tattoos and weird hair and whatever. And the funny thing is, like, none of that makes me cool or anything like that. It just makes me expressive of like my creativity. But the things that make me cool are like what's in my heart, you know, and what's in my mind, my intellect. And I just love the idea of challenging people's expectations or people's stereotypes. I'm not saying I did that by interacting in any way with that family, because I didn't, but I look at those little girls and I want to be like, you can be anything you want. I hope that there's some little spark when they see a woman like me in them that goes, because I remember what it was like when I was a kid to see something that was challenging like that and to feel like, oh, that's bad, because that's what I was taught, but then inside to be like, but it's so cool. All right, I gotta go. Time to get back behind the wheel. Random kumbaya thoughts. I don't know. Talk to you later. Good afternoon from Kansas. I wasn't even planning to film, but the sky is so beautiful and it's such a nice day. And the view is pretty nice of these kind of rolling hills, so hopefully it looks nice to you as well. Today is a pretty straightforward day. Sometimes I love days of just driving and not having any stops, because I can stop when I feel like it. And I went through the Blue Beacon on kind of a whim because I had never done one before. Everything is so green out here. It's a real contrast from being down in the Southwest, and everything is those more muted desert tones. I love it how the colors change from one part of the country to another. So yeah, it's a pretty straightforward day. I'm heading up to, I have a truck stop set in my GPS that's only a couple of hours away. I don't know, I might stop there for the night and just stop early today, because I don't have to be to the drop off until noon tomorrow. Actually, I'll probably go a little bit past that truck stop, but not too much longer, because I don't need to. I don't want to be early. It's a live unload, and I don't want to be more than, 45 minutes or so early. The other thing I was thinking about, and I'm like, do I want to talk about this on a video? Well, I'm gonna give it a go. So this morning I made a little clip where I was talking about being at the Walmart in Oklahoma yesterday and seeing the women who were part of a religious group, and it was a mom and a daughter who was probably like around 20 or so, or maybe a little younger than that, and a couple of younger girls. And I was saying how they were, seemed a little amazed to see a woman who looks like me, which is not a shock to me that they would have that reaction. And I don't mind when I'm in places like that and I always see people staring, and I understand it. It's just something they're not used to. And then it's also kind of amusing to me because it makes me realize how much I forget that I that I have a certain style that stands out to some people, because where I live in Chicago, it's very common to see people with tattoos and mohawks or other types of hairstyles that might not be standard, and people dressed in all different styles, and it's a real mixed bag. Seeing like all different types of people with different hair colors, hairstyles, piercings, tattoos, whatever fashion they might be wearing, it's like no big deal. So then when I'm out somewhere where you don't see that so much, I kind of forget for a minute, and then I'm like, oh yeah, I look like an oddball to the people around me, But I was thinking about, I think being a woman going into an industry like trucking, it's a really interesting experience, and it's kind of enlightening. And I guess before this, I had been a professional mover for 3 years, and what's so funny about that is I got into that job by accident. I was bartending and I was treading water in my life. I was really I had started doing artwork again, and that was huge, and I'm really glad I did that, because I want to ultimately have art be my primary career, and I have every potential to do that, but it's going to require a lot of time, and it's going to be at a point when I wouldn't be trucking anymore, so I would be, my guess is probably going back into the service industry. And I've talked about doing something involving dog walking and pet sitting. That's something I'm very interested in doing in the future, because being around dogs makes me happy. I love taking care of them. I love spending time with them. I love working with them on obedience training. I've done a little bit of volunteering at a dog shelter in the past, and that was a really great experience. So dogs to me are just healing, awesome beings, and I can see myself really thriving. And also, it's a great way in a major city like Chicago to make money, because there are a lot of people who have dogs and work very demanding jobs and don't have time to take their dog to the dog beach, take their dog for walks, etc. and they very much value and are loyal to a good, dependable, trustworthy dog sitter. So that's something that's very much on my radar. And in terms of artwork, my goal is to ultimately do animal portraits. So that calls to me, and that's something that I ultimately am going to do. I say it like that because that's how you make it real, is by speaking it into existence, you know? Where was I going with all of that? I went on a whole tangent. Who, me? Never. So I was bartending and feeling kind of lost, and then one day, the owner of this local little moving company in Chicago came in, and he was just sitting for a while, and he had ate some food, and he was like reading on his phone or something. And I started talking to him, and he had a shirt on that said Schlepp, and I'm like, what's Schlepp? That's the name of the company. And he told me, and I was like, you know, I'm looking for more work, and if you would be down like with me coming once or twice a week, I'll do a shift. I like physical work. He was like, okay. And of course you can guess there were no women working there because they moved furniture mainly. But I freaking fell in love with it. I love physical work. Turns out I love partnered lifting. If you're lifting with the right person, it can be very satisfying, and for me it's really fun. I got in amazing shape. Although the physical issues I've had for a long time definitely became more prominent, unfortunately, which is what's going to happen when you're lifting heavy, awkward objects all day long, up and down stairs. But I loved it, though. I loved it, and all the driving, that was how I got to a point of wanting to drive trucks. But why did I go on this whole tangent when I was going to talk about religion and stuff? Well, I wasn't really going to talk about religion. I was going to talk more about like my own upbringing and how, I guess the long story short, because I don't want to make this video an eternity, is I spent a lot of my childhood in an environment where women were conditioned to be subservient, and where there were pretty strict gender roles. And so the idea of a woman becoming some type of a blue-collar worker wasn't really on my radar. And it's funny because I grew up with brothers, and most of my childhood I was with my dad, and I had an older brother and a younger brother. And so the time, I always felt like one of the guys, and I've always been very aware of my like girliness and my love of being female. Like I love being a girl, I love makeup, and I love playing dress up my whole childhood always, and still, I love that kind of stuff. But then I also love doing things with my hands. I love getting my hands dirty. I love doing physical work. I love doing things that are, I don't know what it is that attracts me to it so much, but I love doing things that are, I'm not supposed to do, quote unquote, by societal standards. And one of my first times being in an environment like that was when I first got out of high school. My stepdad was a foreman at a construction company in the Chicago area, and I went and worked as a laborer for the summer. And most of what I did was either being one of those people that holds the stop sign, or I was, walking around with a shovel, and there were excavators, I guess you'd call them, that were like, they were leveling out ground that was going to be paved, like building parking lots. That kind of stuff. Those guys were all cool to me. They probably had to be because my stepdad was their boss, but also they were good guys. They were just hardworking blue-collar dudes. I was always fascinated with the machines, the heavy machines, and always wished I could like try them out. I never saw myself as someone very capable as a driver. I mean, I love to drive. I drove my dad's Impala. It's a 67 Impala that was like this beast. And that made me love driving and love driving a bigger vehicle. But I used to have a real hard time. This was well before cell phones and GPS, and I would get lost everywhere I went. My stepdad would write out these handwritten directions, and I would still get lost. I was the worst. And so I felt really incapable. And I think the gender role thing played into that, because there's these really strange myths that have been so pervasive in the world and in our culture, that women can't do XYZ, which is total horseshit. Women can't drive trucks, women can't fly planes, women can't XYZ, whatever it is. And it's all a complete myth. because women are capable of literally anything, and in many times we excel at things that we are expected, well, we are told that we can't excel in because of the specific skill sets that we have. One of the interesting things that I think about when you think about any type of oppressed group of people is that oppressing people often makes them stronger in unexpected ways and smarter and more industrious, because it forces them to be creative in order to survive. So thanks, society, because you just make me work harder to kick more ass. That's all you did. And it doesn't always work that way for people. But anyway, that's kind of what I wanted to say. See, that wasn't so painful. I didn't attack anyone. All I said was women can kick ass. And when I see young women who I know because of the way their identity is revealed by their clothing or the environment or whatever it is, when I know that they're receiving messages that tell them all the things that they can't be and they can't do, I'm summoning with all of my might a voice that I'm sending to them like a mind meld that says you can do anything. And that's a fact. And anyway, I guess I always want to emphasize in my videos, I want to share these ideas because I know there's other people out there who relate. And I also hope there are people who maybe don't love the idea of women driving trucks. And I hope that they hear some of what I have to say and that it makes them think a little bit. It might not, you know. You can't reach everybody. That's all right. You just got to keep your chin up and keep doing what you do. I hope, though, that anyone who's watching this who is a woman or part of a marginalized group who feels like I can't do this thing because it's not for me, you know, you can do anything you want. And the way that you do it is you just learn everything you need to learn, and you carry yourself with confidence, even if you have to fake it. It's the fake it till you make it thing. It really works. And you demand respect by showing it to yourself first, and then going out there and doing a great job at whatever it is you're passionate about doing. If you want to be a tradesperson, if you want to be an electrician, a plumber, a heavy equipment operator, if you want to work on construction sites and help build buildings, if you want to be a window washer, which is another fantasy of mine, I'm not even joking. I want to be a window washer in Chicago. I like thrills and scary things. You guys know this. I saw a story about it on the news once, and I was like, how do I apply? I know it's dangerous, but man, imagine the videos I'd get up there. Okay, enough about that. But if you want to be a trucker, if you want to... Man, you know what I really wish I could have done? It's too late in my life now to, well, not necessarily, but I've always wished I could fly planes. So if you're a young woman or a young person, whatever, watching this and you want to fly planes, assuming you have the necessary eyesight, you can do it. You do anything. You do anything you really want to do if you're passionate about it and you put yourself out there. Don't let anybody's stereotypes of your gender or whatever your identity is stop you. Forget all that noise. Just get out there, keep your chin up, and kick some ass. From one badass bitch to another. All right, that's enough. I hope you guys have enjoyed this edition of talking about stuff I maybe shouldn't, and I will catch up with you later.